Ethan Cole sat alone in his small outpost, staring at the dusty screen of his comms terminal. The wind outside howled through the empty plains of Colony 12 Gamma. This planet was quiet, too quiet. That's why Ethan liked it. He was an engineer, tall, lean, and always covered in grease. He fixed old communication towers and checked solar batteries. His job was boring but peaceful. No one came out this far. He had no boss watching him, no noisy neighbors, and no wars. Just the sound of wind and the soft hum of machines. Then one day, everything changed. A loud ping came from his terminal. He leaned forward and blinked. A message flashed in glowing blue letters. Galactic Harmony match confirmed. Signed. Made en route. Prepare for arrival. Ethan frowned. What the hell? He tapped the screen. Nothing happened. He restarted the system. Still the same message. Another alert followed. Human match. Ethan Cole. ID number 44,390. An alien match. Lirave. Of Solari Prime. Arrival in 23 minutes. Ethan pushed his chair back and stood up. Nope. No way. I never signed up for this. He checked the data log. It was official. Somehow, the Systemo massive AI network used by hundreds of alien civilizations had matched him with a mate. He opened his mouth to speak, then shut it again. He lived alone, no one to talk to. So he just grabbed his coat and stormed outside. The sky above was purple-blue with a pair of suns hanging low. In the distance, a small silver appeared, moving. Fast, it was a ship. Ethan narrowed his eyes. They're actually coming? He grabbed his old plasma wrench just in case. 20 minutes later, the ship landed. It was small, round, and sleek, like a silver teardrop. It made no sound as it touched the ground. A ramp opened with a quiet hiss, and out stepped the strangest woman Ethan had ever seen. She was short, barely reaching his chest, with smooth lavender skin, shiny black hair tied in a long braid, and glowing silver eyes. Her clothes were soft and flowing, like she had stepped out of some royal palace. She held a small case in her left hand. She walked toward him with a calm, graceful step. Then she smiled and said, "The system chose me as your wife." Ethan blinked. I didn't choose anything." She tilted her head. "I know. The system chose for us. It found a match based on logic, harmony, and genetic strength. I am Lirave. You may call me Lyra." He took a step back. "Okay, Lyra. Look, this is all a mistake. I didn't ask for a wife. Not ready for one. Especially not from another species." Lyra didn't seem offended. She simply nodded. "That is common with human matches. Question much, but the Harmony system has high success rates. Knows more than you or me." Ethan rubbed his face. "You're not listening. I'm not doing this. You should leave." She looked up at him with a calm expression. "If I leave without completing the bonding evaluation, my clan will suffer dishonor. My people trusted the system. I followed the law. If you refuse, my name will be blackened." Ethan cursed under his breath. "So what now? You just live with me for a few days." Lyra smiled again. "Only 10 days. After that, we may choose." Ethan sighed and looked at the silver ship behind her. It wasn't going anywhere, and his outpost had only one bed. "This is insane," he muttered. Inside the outpost, Lyra moved like she had done it all before. She placed her case neatly near the corner, sat cross-legged on the floor, and began setting up a small cube. The cube opened, glowing softly. It was a translator, heater, light, and small energy shield all in one. Ethan watched from the kitchen, poured 2 cups of coffee, unsure if she even drank it. Lyra accepted the cup politely, but didn't drink. She stared at him with quiet curiosity. "You smell like metal and salt," she said. "Yeah, that's the oil. I work with machines." "Good. Machines are simple. You are not." He frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means I need time to understand you." Ethan sipped his coffee and looked away. This was awkward. He had never lived with anyone not, even a roommate. Now he had an alien woman in his small home, and the system claimed she was his wife. He went to his room. grabbed extra bedding, and threw it on the couch. You sleep here? I'll stay in my room. Lyra nodded. Acceptable. Privacy is important to humans. Ethan paused. You've studied us? Yes. I had one cycle of human culture training. Very confusing, your movies are. Strange. He laughed once. That's one way to put it. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the system. Why had it picked him? Why now? He had avoided everything dating marriage. Family for a reason. Life was easier alone. But now he wasn't alone. In the next room, Lyra was softly humming. Her voice was smooth, almost like a lullaby. Ethan turned to the wall and closed his eyes. Just 10 days, he told himself. The next morning, strange shadows moved across the plains. Ethan was on the roof, checking a solar panel. When he spotted something in the distance, 2 small ships, flying low and fast, he narrowed his eyes. They weren't Harmony ships. He climbed down quickly. Lyra met him at the door. She looked tense. You saw them too? Yeah, not friendly. She shook her head. Rebels. They opposed the Harmony system. They may know I am here. Ethan's jaw tightened. They're looking for you? No, for us. He stared at her. For both of us, she repeated. You are now a bonded match. They believe that humans and aliens should not be together. They will not allow this to continue. Ethan felt a chill down his spine. He looked out the window. The ships were circling now, closer, slower. Looks like this bonding just got dangerous. The 2 ships circled the sky like vultures. They made no noise, but Ethan could feel their presence like a weight pressing on his chest. He stood near the window with Lyra beside him. Her glowing silver eyes followed the ships calmly, but Ethan saw her fingers tighten around her robe. How many are in there? He asked. Likely 6 in each, she replied. Rebel scouts usually work in pairs. They will land soon. Ethan stared at her. And then what? They try to take you? Or both of us? Lyra nodded. Both. We are now part of the Harmony bond. To them, that makes us traitors. Ethan shook his head. I didn't even agree to this bond. I did, Lyra said. Softly, but now you are involved, whether you want it or not. Ethan turned away and walked to the table, grabbing his plasma wrench and checking the energy level. He didn't have weapons. This was a repair outpost, not a battle station. But he could improvise. Lyra followed him. You are brave for a human. I'm just trying not to die. No, she said. You're preparing to protect. That is bravery. Ethan looked at her, surprised by her words. For someone so small, she spoke with quiet strength. The ships finally landed a few hundred meters away. Dust swirled around. The silver holes. The air grew tense. Ethan and Lyra crouched behind the workbench inside the outpost. He peeked through a crack in the wall. 12 figures emerged. All were tall, thin aliens with dark armor and glowing red visors. They carried strange weapons, curved and buzzing with energy. They moved in a triangle formation toward the building. Ethan whispered, Can your system friends send help? Shook her head. Only if we activate a beacon. Mine is in my ship, which they now control. Great, Ethan muttered. Just great. Suddenly, Lyra stood up and pulled out a small sphere from her robe. It glowed with a soft blue light. What's that? A pulse bomb, she said. It will disable their weapons for 20 seconds. Enough to run or fight. Ethan raised. An eyebrow? You carry bombs? My people believe in peace, she said, but we are not fools. The door burst open with a loud crash. Ethan dove behind a crate. The rebels entered 3 of them first. They shouted in a language Ethan didn't understand. Then Lyra threw the sphere. A pulse of blue light filled the room. The rebels' weapons sparked and died. They froze in confusion. Lyra moved fast. She jumped forward and struck the nearest rebel with a sharp blow to the neck. He fell. Ethan grabbed a metal rod and swung at another, knocking him back. His heart raced. He had never been in a fight before. Lyra, on the other hand, moved like a trained warrior, graceful and precise. The rebels retreated outside. Lyra ran to the control panel and sealed the door. Ethan dropped the rod and leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "You didn't tell me you were trained to fight." "I am firstborn of the Vey family," she said. "We protect our honor with skill." "Well," Ethan said, "remind me never to make you mad." Lyra gave a small smile. Later that evening, the sun began to set. The rebels hadn't returned, but they hadn't left either. Their ships remained parked near the outpost. Ethan patched up a small cut on his arm. Lyra helped, using a soft gel from her case. "We can't stay here forever," Ethan said. "They'll wait us out." "We need the beacon," Lyra replied. "It's the only way to call Harmony forces." Ethan rubbed his jaw. "Then we'll have to get to your ship." Lyra shook her head. "They have guards posted. It would be suicide." He looked around the room, thinking. Then his eyes landed on a small ground rover parked near the storage unit. It was dusty and old, but it still worked. "I've got an idea." That night, under the cover of darkness, Ethan and Lyra put the plan into motion. They loaded the rover. With scrap metal and old batteries, making it look like it was carrying cargo, Ethan set it on autopilot and programmed it to drive slowly toward the rebel ships. Then they used the distraction to slip out the back of the outpost. They moved fast and low through the dry grass. The wind helped hide their movements. Lyra led the way, her eyes glowing slightly in the dark, as the rebels approached the rover to investigate. Ethan and Lyra reached the ship. Lyra placed her hand on the access panel. The ship's lights blinked. "No." "Good," she whispered. "They locked it." Ethan grabbed a cable from his belt. "Let me try." He opened a small panel on the side and connected his tool. Sparks flew, but the door hissed open. "Impressive," Lyra said. "I cheat," Ethan said. "Human habit." Inside the ship, Lyra ran to a glowing console and activated the beacon. A soft hum filled the room. Signal was sent into the stars. "Now, we wait," she said. "Or fight again," Ethan replied. But just then, alarms blared from outside. The rebels had seen the open hatch. "They're coming." Lyra handed Ethan a stun rod from the ship's armory. "Only use it if you must." Ethan nodded. The rebels reached the ramp, shouting. One tried to fire, but the Harmony systems locked. His weapon, the ship's defense shield, activated. Still, one managed to climb the ramp. Ethan met him head-on. The stun rod crackled in his hand. He jabbed forward. The rebel jerked and fell, twitching. Lyra handled another with a precise kick. And a blinding flash from her eyes. Just then, the sky lit up. 3 bright ships streaked down from the stars. Sleek and fast, they bore the symbol of the Galactic Harmony System. The rebels scattered. Within seconds, beams of light surrounded them, freezing them in place. The Harmony ships landed with soft grace. Ethan and Lyra stepped outside, breathing hard. A tall figure in gold armor approached. He looked at Lyra, then Ethan. "Are you the bonded pair?" he asked. Lyra bowed, as the figure nodded. "You are safe now. The rebels will be removed. The match is valid." He turned to Ethan. "You may now choose. Continue the bond, or end it peacefully." Ethan looked at Lyra. Her eyes searched his face, calm but unsure. He didn't answer yet. Needed time. But something had changed inside him. The rebels were gone, taken away in glowing stasis pods by the Harmony enforcers. Their ships were destroyed. The outpost was quiet again, but it didn't feel the same. Ethan stood outside, watching the horizon. Smoke still rose from the wreckage. He had cleaned his tools, fixed his gear, and bandaged his bruises. But something in him had changed. He wasn't just a simple engineer anymore. He had fought beside an alien woman. He had helped defend a system he never even trusted behind him. The door slid open. Lyra stepped out silently. She wore her robes again, though they were now torn at the edge. She looked at Ethan, then up at the sky. "The Harmony ship will return in 1 day," she said quietly. "You must give your answer before they arrive." Ethan nodded. "Yeah, I know." She didn't say more. She just stood beside him. They watched the sun sink low together that night. Ethan sat at the table, staring at a bowl of food he didn't want to eat. Lyra sat across from him, drinking from a silver cup. Her posture was straight, but her eyes were tired. Finally, she broke the silence. "You want to ask me something?" Ethan leaned forward. Why me? Out of every person in the galaxy, why? Did the system pick me? Lyra placed her cup down gently. Because I asked it to. Ethan blinked. What? I volunteered, she said. I requested a human match. Why? She looked down at her hands. My people fear humans. We hear stories, war, chaos, emotion, but I read more. I saw bravery, kindness, curiosity. Ethan was silent. My family was against it, she continued. But I wanted to see for myself. I gave the system full permission to scan for a match. It chose you. Ethan shook his head slowly. You risked everything, just to see what a human was like. Yes, she said, and now I have seen. Looked at her, and what do you think? She gave a small smile. You are reckless, strange, stubborn. You talk to machines when no one's around. Ethan laughed quietly, but she added, you were also brave, loyal. And you didn't run when danger came. He looked down at his hands. They were still trembling from the earlier fight. I was scared. We all were, Lyra said. Courage is not about being fearless. It is about standing anyway. Ethan didn't respond. The silence grew heavy again. Then he asked, and if I say no, if I break the bond? Lyra's face grew calm. Then I will leave. You will go back to your life. I will return to my people in silence. The system will not ask again. He stared at her. And what happens to you? My clan will say nothing, but I will be alone. Ethan felt something twist in his chest. He hated how calm she was, like she had already prepared for him. To walk away the next morning, Ethan took the rover and drove out to the old tower site, his first job post. He needed to clear his head. The tower stood tall and rusted, its base covered in dry vines. He climbed halfway up and sat on the old steel steps, looking out across the open fields. So much had happened in just 2 days. He used to enjoy silence. Now it just made him feel empty. Then he heard the soft hum of Lyra's voice. She had followed. She climbed up beside him, carefully balancing on the steps. You didn't answer me last night. I needed space. I gave it, she said softly. Ethan looked at her. What does it really mean, being bonded? Lyra took a deep breath. It means we are partners, in life, in purpose. I protect you, and you protect me. We share knowledge, strength, and future. It is more than love. It is unity. Ethan stared at the horizon. But I didn't ask for it. No, she said. But perhaps you needed it. He frowned. What do you mean? You live far from others? You trust machines more than people? You fix things. But never your heart. Ethan looked away. Saw your file, Lyra said gently. Your parents died in a mining collapse. You were raised by systems. No close ties. No records of friendship. He stood up, angry. That's none of your business. She didn't move. It became my business the moment the system linked us. I wanted to understand you, not to judge you. Ethan turned to her. So what do you want now? She stood slowly, facing him with those glowing silver eyes. I want to choose you. Not because the system told me, but because I have seen your truth. We're strong in ways you don't see. He looked at her, searching her face. I don't know how to be someone's partner, he whispered. You learn, she said, together. Later that day, the Harmony ship returned. It landed gently on the plains, a perfect silver circle. With golden lights, single figure stepped out, same gold armor as before, same calm voice. Bonded pair, he said. It is time. The evaluation is complete. You may confirm the bond, or end it. Ethan looked at Lyra. She stood tall beside him. He took a deep breath. I want to confirm it, he said. The figure nodded. Then the bond is sealed. You may choose your path together. Lyra looked at Ethan with a new smile, one that was soft, warm, and real. That night, Ethan and Lyra stood outside the outpost, looking at the stars. A small breeze blew across the dry land. So, what now? Ethan asked. We build a life, Lyra replied. not just fixed towers. You okay living out here with a grumpy engineer? I prefer him to anyone else, she said with a smirk. He chuckled. You know this is crazy, right? She said. But it's also beautiful. He stood in silence again. But this time, Ethan didn't feel empty. He felt whole. The days passed slowly on Colony 12 Gamma. The sun burned hot during the day and disappeared quickly behind the hills at night. Ethan and Lyra lived side by side now, learning each other's strange ways and quiet habits. Lyra had begun helping Ethan with his work. She was quick to understand machines, and her fingers moved with careful skill. Ethan, in return, taught her how to cook simple meals, mostly beans, and preserve vegetables from his supply. She laughed when she saw his clumsy attempts, but beneath the growing friendship, a shadow still hovered. The rebels had not forgotten. Their ships patrolled the skies far off, watching, waiting. One afternoon, while Ethan was repairing a broken antenna, Lyra rushed to him with urgent news. The rebel fleet is moving closer, she said, eyes wide. How close? Too close. If they attack, we won't have time to call for help. Ethan wiped his hands on his pants. Then we need a plan. We can't just sit here and wait. Lyra nodded. The Harmony system gave me a message before it left. Out there is a beacon in the old mountain ruins, east of here. If we activate it, the Harmony fleet will come immediately. Ethan raised his eyebrows. Sounds simple enough. What's the catch? The ruins are dangerous. Old defense systems still operate, and the rebels may control the area now. Ethan sighed. Of course they do. That evening, they prepared. For the journey, Lyra packed light but carried weapons hidden in her robes. Ethan filled a small backpack with tools, rations, a medkit. They left under the cover of night, moving quietly through the dark fields. The stars above were bright and cold. As they walked, Ethan stole glances at Lyra. She seemed calm, but he knew she carried heavy thoughts. Why did you really volunteer for this match? He asked softly. She paused, looking up at the sky. Because I wanted to change how my people see humans. I wanted to show that humans are not monsters. Ethan smiled faintly. You're braver than me? Lyra shook her head. No, you survive every day in ways I never could. He reached out and touched her hand gently. They walked on in silence. The mountain ruins rose before them at dawn. Jagged rocks and crumbled walls stretched across the hilltop. Rusted machines and broken towers stood like ghosts. Ethan felt a chill. Stay close, Lyra warned. The defenses may still activate. As they moved through the ruins, strange sensors blinked to life. A warning buzz sounded low in the air. Suddenly, a blast of energy shot from a hidden turret. Ethan dove behind a rock, heart pounding. Lyra raised her hand and fired a small pulse that disabled the turret. They moved quickly, avoiding more traps and broken sentries near the center. They found the beacon chamber, a circular room with a glowing console. Lyra approached it carefully. This is it. Ethan nodded. Activated. Let's get help. Lyra touched the console. The beacon hummed and glowed. A signal shot up into the sky. Suddenly, alarms sounded throughout the ruins. Rebels. Ethan shouted from behind the rocks. Dozens of armed figures appeared. The rebels had found them. Ethan gripped his wrench like a club. Lyra drew a blade that shimmered with violet light. They stood back to back, ready to fight. The rebels charged. The battle was fierce. Ethan swung wildly, hitting anything close enough. His muscles burned, but adrenaline kept him moving. Lyra moved with grace and deadly skill, parrying and striking with precise blows. Despite being outnumbered, Ethan and Lyra fought like a single force. As the fight wore on, they backed toward the beacon console. One rebel raised a weapon to destroy it. Lyra threw herself in front, blocking the blast with her arm. She cried out in pain. Ethan yelled, "No." He fought harder, fueled by fear and anger. Finally, the rebels broke and fled. Hearing distant engines, Harmony ships were arriving. As the ships landed, Ethan helped Lyra to her feet. She was wounded but alive. The gold-armored figure stepped out again. "You have done well," he said. "The rebels are finished." Ethan looked at Lyra. "Are you okay?" She nodded weakly. "Yes, this bond, it is more than duty now." Smiled, feeling something warm inside. That night, as they rested under the stars, Ethan reached for Lyra's hand. "Whatever happens next," said, "I want to do this together." Lyra squeezed his hand gently. "Together," she agreed. The stars shone brightly over Colony 12 Gamma as Ethan and Lyra returned to the outpost. The battle was over. The rebels were gone, captured, or defeated. The Harmony system had kept its promise. But now, a new journey began. Ethan carried a small bagged with supplies, and Lyra walked beside him, still nursing her wounded arm. Despite the pain, her silver eyes sparkled with a quiet strength. Back inside the outpost, the gold-armored Harmony officer awaited them. His calm presence filled the small room. "Ethan Cole," he said, "the choice is yours. You may keep the bond, or you may end it. There will be no punishment either way." Ethan looked at Lyra. She stood silently, waiting. The bond was more than a system link now. It had become something real between them. He took a deep breath. "I want to keep it." Lyra's eyes softened. "So do I." The officer nodded. "Then the bond is sealed. You are partners. You share your lives." Ethan smiled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. Days passed and life slowly returned to normal. But for Ethan and Lyra, normal had changed. They worked together, fixing towers and machines. Lyra's knowledge of alien technology helped Ethan improve his work. Ethan's practical skills grounded Lyra's curiosity. They cooked simple meals and shared stories of their worlds. Lyra told tales of her home planet Solari, prima place of vast purple forests and crystal cities. Ethan spoke of Earth and the people he missed. At night, they sat outside under the endless sky, talking quietly. One evening, Ethan looked at Lyra and said, "You're not just my wife because the system said so. You're my wife because I chose you."
Ow.
Lyra smiled, her silver eyes glowing softly. "And I chose you because I saw the man behind the machines." Their bond grew stronger. They learned to understand each other's silence, to laugh at their differences, and to support each other's hopes. One day a message arrived from the Galactic Harmony Council. Ethan Cole and Lyra Vey. It read, "Your union is the first confirmed mutual human-alien bond. Your courage and trust set a new path for the galaxy. You are invited to represent humanity at the next Harmony Summit." "Ethan, read the message aloud." Lyra's eyes widened. "We did this," she whispered. "Yes," Ethan said. "Together." At the summit, surrounded by aliens of many kinds, Ethan and Lyra stood tall. They told their story, their fight against rebels, the struggle to trust, and the choice to build a life beyond systems and codes. Their story inspired others. Humans and aliens alike saw the power of choice, trust, and courage. When the summit ended, Ethan and Lyra returned to Colony 12, Gamma, as strangers bound by a system but as partners united by love. Under the endless stars, Ethan took Lyra's hand. "The system chose you," he said, smiling. "But you chose me," Lyra replied, smiling back. Together, they faced the future not as a foe,